Britain is a country that is well known across the globe, but how exactly do people overseas perceive Britain? In 2012, the overall reputation of Britain was at an all-time high, helped by events such as the Olympics and the Diamond Jubilee. Because of this, the UK was deemed as one of the most attractive and trustworthy countries to many overseas. However, this reputation would worsen over time, as research conducted in 2023 showed that the UK, although still an attractive country, had been deemed as less trustworthy than it was before, sinking to under 60% of trust by 2021. What could have caused these changes though? In my opinion, I think that the change in trust towards the UK was heavily impacted by Brexit, as many countries didn't agree with the idea of Brexit, and it also made travelling to the UK and studying in the UK a lot more difficult to those overseas. Another reason that this change in trust may have occurred is due to an increase in antisocial behaviour from Brits abroad, with many hotspots for British tourists calling them a problem and encouraging them to either respect the rules of their countries or leave them before their behaviour got any worse. Another key thing that may influence a person's perception of Britain is through the many stereotypes of Britain and its people. I'm sure you've heard of some of the most common ones, such as bad teeth, bad food, posh people and accents, bad weather, rowdy behaviour, especially in regard to football, obsession with tea, obsession with alcohol, and a depressing attitude or lack of emotion. Many of these stereotypes are reinforced by depictions of the country in the media, such as movies, TV shows, music, etc., which are used to poke fun at Britain or for comedic effect. But just how truthful are these stereotypes? In order to find out, I conducted a survey asking people from Britain, as well as other countries, what they thought about some of the most common stereotypes surrounding the UK. Shockingly, out of the 12 stereotypes presented in the survey, 8 of them were agreed with by most British respondents. Some of the key stereotypes that were disagreed with include Brits hating confrontation, having awful food, and being posh. This could suggest that there is some truth behind some of these stereotypes, as even British people tended to agree with most of them. Finally, we might as well explore how the British public perceive themselves, which is very different from how people overseas perceive Britain. According to research conducted in 2012, Britain was a less happy nation than it was in 1950, despite 2012 being a pretty big year for being British. Similar research conducted a year prior stated that only 24% of the 2,000 people questioned thought that modern British people were a lot prouder to be British than Brits from 1948. As well as this, around 60% of Brits questioned in 2007 thought that Britain wasn't improving as a country, with 14% thinking that it was. A lot of the reasons behind these gloomy opinions could be down to the socio-economic state of Britain, as many had felt the issues of welfare and unemployment as time progressed, making people more depressed and less proud to be British. Another reason could be a lack of trust in the government, as only 17% of Brits questioned in 2012 thought that the people in charge knew best, which may have resulted in the deteriorating pride and opinion felt towards the country. However, further research conducted in 2012 showed that British people felt the most national pride when thinking of the history of Britain, such as the country's contributions to ending World War II. This also helps to show how people thought that Brits in 1948 were prouder to be British than people in modern Britain, as they would have been celebrating their win after the war. Other factors, such as the NHS and the army, were also noted as provoking the most national pride out of Brits, suggesting that while Brits don't necessarily agree with how the country has turned out nowadays, they're still proud of living in a country that has made significant contributions to a number of different fields.